So now I'm going to be introducing to you guys Rhys Pedrick. So Rhys moved to Incident.io from his previous role with GoCardless earlier this year. Coupled with his experience from his time at Perkbox, Rhys has got a lot of experience in working with early-stage startups to draw on in his talk. He's going to be talking to us about why you should and shouldn't join an early-stage startup due to the due diligence you need to do, and also thinking about some of the pros and cons. Take it away, Rhys.
Thank you. 7 years ago, I left my job in recruitment to join a startup. It was a VR hospitality booking software that was destined to disrupt the world of VR hospitality booking. I quickly found that the CEO had Adam Newman levels of persuasiveness, and all was not as it seemed. It turns out there was absolutely no money. I left 6 weeks later and never got paid. That was when I found out what pre-seed meant. So, as Elaine says, my name's Rhys. I'm an account executive here at Instant.io. I've been working in sales for 8 years, the last 5 of which have been SaaS sales. I've experienced growth from Series B up to Series G, and with that, I've noticed kind of all of the different levels of stages of growth that come with that. Right now, I joined Instant.io when they just raised their seed round, and I intend on staying until our CEO's had enough of my dad jokes. So the most common question I get since leaving GoCardless is why go from a really well-funded, popular, well-known fintech to a smaller company that's only just raised their first round? The answer is easy: fame and fortune. Obviously, I'm joking, but these aren't actually too far from the truth. Instead of fame, I wanted more input than just my number. The hamster wheel life really wasn't for me. I was really missing that cross-departmental impact and influence that I had on the overall strategy, and no percentage over my target was going to fill that gap. And although I was making more money than I ever had, I was really at a crossroads in my career financially. I realized that there's 2 ways of making big money in SaaS sales. You can go down the enterprise route and do multi-million-dollar transformation programs, or you can join an early-stage startup. Now, both of these are risky in their own right, but there are things that you can do to minimize that risk. It's very likely that you have or will be enticed into the world of angel investing. So a few years ago, I got my hands on a book called Angel by Jason Calacanis. He was an early Uber investor, and he's invested in a lot of very well-known startups. The book mostly covers the things that you should be looking out for when investing in a company. Now, in my eyes, I think that joining an early-stage company is very much like investing in it. Instead of investing money, you're investing your time, which arguably is more important. So how do you make sure that you're backing the right horse? Now, this is a whole topic in itself. I'd love to connect with anyone that wants to talk about it. I'm very passionate about that kind of stuff. But today, I'm going to be focusing on why you should and shouldn't join an early-stage startup. So my colleague, Pierre, he really likes to work in the rules of 3. I'm really competitive and always need to outdo him, so here's 4 reasons why you should and shouldn't join an early-stage startup. So number 1, things change all the time. The company might not have found product-market fit. It might not be clear who your ideal customer is, or if the product is even needed by them. Less people means less resources, so there's going to be a wider variety of work. You're going to be asked to work on projects that might not contribute to your number. This can be really tough, particularly if you're not, if you've got a month where you're not hitting your target. But on the other hand, it can be much more exciting. If something doesn't work, there's typically a very small feedback loop. If you want to make a change, you're on the front line talking to customers and getting that feedback to your product team. If you blink, you'll miss it. It's very likely that you'll be able to look back on a month and notice many, many big things that have happened. Suddenly, you'll be meeting new starters, and they'll be impressed that you've been in the company for 6 months. You're already part of the furniture. Now, secondly, it's likely that you're going to report to a founder or a CXO. Chances are they might not have domain knowledge in what you're doing, so they might be a technical founder, an engineer, for example, and not have the sales experience. They're going to have a lot more on their plate than just you to think about. There's a whole company there to run, and your priorities might not match up with their priorities. However, you're going to get exposure to things that you wouldn't otherwise have. You might sit next to the CEO and get visibility over things that you wouldn't in a larger organization. And they're going to have a great network for you to tap into. You're going to meet investors and other founders that it's very likely your CEO or whoever you report to might be able to make warm intros into. Well, thirdly, there's going to be no process. You'll probably spend the first few months in Gmail and Google Sheets, and if you don't keep these tidy, then things are going to get messy very quickly. A little plug-in for SalesLoft there. Nobody knows what is right, and the things that are obvious to you might not be obvious to others. It actually takes a bit of a mind shift to be able to know when to speak up, and also how. It takes practice. But the great thing is you're going to get to shape the process and have the flexibility to try new things. This is your license to get creative. Nobody's going to expect perfection, and the small things are going to have massive impacts down the line. A really cool thing is that you actually get to be on the buying side of tools as well, so you get to be on the other side of that discovery call. This is going to help shape your process, and also it's just going to be really fun to kind of pick holes in what they're doing, but also to pick up new things as well. And finally, the future is unclear. You're going to have 101 questions as to the future of the business. It's very unlikely that anyone's going to know the answer. There's going to be no promotion path. There's no framework in place to say that if you hit X% over your target, that you'll get a promotion to a closing role or a manager role. But on the other hand, there's much more likely to be a meritocratic system. The more you put in, the more you're going to get out. One of the most common reasons I hear for people joining early stage startups is the fact that you could potentially get an accelerated career growth. With that comes a massive learning curve, but it means you're going to learn a lot more in a shorter amount of time and therefore be eligible for that promotion. And if everything goes well, there could be a big win at the end. If you find the right company and stay long enough to vest your options, it could genuinely land you a life-changing amount of money. So joining an early stage startup isn't for everyone. If you back the right horse, you can find yourself on an accelerated career path that gives you back multiples of what you put in. And some of you are going to be put off by what I've said. It sounds mad, and it is. For the others, we're hiring, so feel free to come and find me for a chat or drop me a line on LinkedIn. Thank you.